right. I only date ugly men. The psychology of dating down in looks. This honestly sounds like some goofy ass red pill shit. Um, but I guess we're going to find out. So I saved this video, been wanting to check it out. Figure, you know what? Let's react to it. So shout out to Cove's Studio. I think that's how you say that. If I'm mispronouncing that, I apologize. Um, but let's get into it. I only date ugly men. Let's see what this is about.
Emerald cut diamond, say I'm Pyrex living. How can I say this in a friendly way?
I always find it super weird when girls come on TikTok and they say that they
Wait, I
Emerald
missed it.
cut diamond, say I'm Pyrex living. How can I say this in a friendly
Well, he thinks he's a 10 because he pulled you, but you like ugly men. Alright. This is some goofy ass TikTok shit. Like, you can't really take a lot of shit on TikTok seriously. But um, if this is a real situation, which likely it's not, it's just for show, you know. If this is a real situation, like if you are ranking or rating yourself based off the attractiveness of the woman that you are dealing with, you got some issues, buddy.
way.
I always find it super weird when girls come on TikTok and they say that they like ugly guys. Or sometimes they'll say they want a guy with no followers or that he's like a loser and has no friends. So if you've seen the videos like this, I just want to know if you agree with what I'm about to say. I feel like these girls are actually very insecure. I feel like the reason that they're attracted to guys like this is because they feel more secure within themselves if they're with someone that they think is beneath them.
Mm,
They think this person will see the value in them and be so obsessed with them. I wouldn't think to like cheat or, disrespect them in any way. But the
mm,
crazy thing is, they end up getting disrespected and cheated on anyways. And then let's say you have a messy breakup and then they get salty afterwards, then their comeback is gonna be like, okay, yeah, he was a loser anyways, and he wasn't a 10 and he wasn't on my level. But I feel like the
mm.
deeper question you should be asking yourself is why are you going for people like that instead of going for people on your level and walking away when you see the first sign of disrespect?
Yeah, completely agree with that. And perhaps you've seen it for yourself. Oftentimes, a very attractive man or woman will date down in terms of physical looks and purely on base physical looks. And the scientific literature calls this a mismatched couple. Now, people can date down in intelligence or maybe in wealth. There's so many factors you can either date up or down in because, again, not everyone is equal. That it doesn't work like that. Physical looks is the most studied feature in the scientific literature because it's the most visible one. And outside observers, so me and you walking on the street, when we see a couple like this, we often have very mixed feelings about it. And that's what science wants to find out. Why do we feel this way? Reading through the comments, it seems that the TikTok commenters also have mixed feelings about this. Some say that it's a defense mechanism, like this woman here who, if you can't read it, says when he thinks he's a 10 because he pulled you, but you like ugly men, which is pretty funny to me. But yeah, so some say defense mechanisms, 100% right. Definitely a girl. They are super insecure. You only attract where you are. I want my partner to be well liked, attractive, and have friends outside of me. I agree. That's me as well. But let's try to understand why.
I don't know if she was being, I don't know if she was being sarcastic there or really meant that. For real, like I want my partner to be well liked, attractive, and have friends outside of me. Uh, I don't know the way things are going these days. She's probably serious as fuck. Um, yeah. So, I get the insecurity label. I I get that. It's basically you're basically saying that you equate these men as not having as much value as you, and that they will quote unquote worship you and appreciate the fact that they're with you and think that they got an opportunity to be with you just because you look good, stupid as fuck. But if that's your strategy, I'm judging it. But if that's your strategy, um, yeah, yeah, I definitely I get the insecurity label that people are putting on this subject. But let's see what he's talking about.
this idea exists. So this is one of the older research papers on what's known as equity theory. So equity theory is basically saying that we make up for a deficiency in physical looks in a mismatched couple. So again, differences purely on
Ooh, I gotta find this equity theory. Yeah, I got something to research after this. So, ooh, I'm excited.
physical looks by compensating it for it with something else. So maybe that other member who is not as attractive is very intelligent, very wealthy. There's so many other things that we can't see other than physical looks. So going through it, the equity theory of intersexual attraction offers a tentative explanation for discrepancies, again, in mismatched couples. According to equity theory, important attributes besides pleasing physical characteristics, example, intelligence, play a role in heterosexual interaction. If an unattractive person possesses a large number of non-physical qualities, he might be deemed highly desirable and able to attract a physically appealing mate. Similarly, a physically attractive individual who has nothing else to offer will not be considered desirable and be forced to settle for someone who is less attractive. And so it's just funny to me, and both Emrata and that girl in the TikTok are admitting to the audience in a very roundabout way that they don't have much to offer other than their physical looks, because according to equity theory, again, it's a theory, that somebody who is physically attractive but dates down must not have a whole lot to offer and therefore must not be seen as a desirable mate to somebody who is on their equal league in physical attractiveness but also has other desirable non-physical qualities. As the lady
See, it's funny that I just did a video about this on my coaching channel earlier today. Actually, is that um, you know, I don't know if necessarily a lot of you get into like energy and vibration and all of that. I do. I love that shit. But when you vibrate at a higher frequency, you know, you attract more high vibrational energy, right? So the thing is like, and like I said in that video, I look at everything as energy. So the energy that these women are putting out, I would say is low vibrational energy. You have nothing else to offer. It doesn't matter how quote unquote attractive they are, because one, that's set up by societal standards, right? Like it's very unattractive that their behavior is very unattractive, you know, so far. But that's, you know, whatever. So, like he said, right? Like they're literally admitting that they have nothing else to offer, right? There's nothing else to offer besides this this image that I've been able to manufacture, right? And if you're somebody who values that manufactured image, you know, then guess what? You know, I'm bringing that to the table at least. But once you start expecting something else, then, you know, and that's probably why they quote unquote date ugly men, or in their minds date men less valuable than them, right? Because like you said, they have nothing else to offer. As soon as you find somebody who requires more out of you, you know, you're stuck, right? And that's the problem, you know. And I just heard this in, you know, in the video earlier, right? Um, you know, they get instant validation, and I'm not saying anything. I'm not saying this as a judgment or saying anything bad about them. It just is what it is. This is the world we live in, right? They get instant validation from posting online, from posting on Instagram, posting on TikTok, right? They get that instant feedback, that, you know, that instant validation, you know what I'm saying, that yes, your looks have value because people are telling them that they are beautiful, right? That's not something that they've worked towards their look, right? But they haven't really worked towards, that's a judgment. Let me pause. They're communicating that they haven't worked towards anything else, right? I'm going to date men less valuable than me. That way they will value me because even though I don't have anything else of value besides my looks, because they don't have the looks. You know what I'm saying? Like they're automatically going to value me because of how I look, you know, and hope to God they don't look underneath the surface, right?
Lady in the original TikTok video was telling us one of the reasons that she hypothesizes is because people do this to secure themselves a partner who won't cheat on them. So ultimately, this comes from a fear of insecurity. The idea stems from insecurity, and that's one reason which I do agree with. If you are insecure as a partner in a relationship, you're going to choose somebody who you expect to not cheat on you. But the thing is, cheaters will cheat. The physical attractiveness discrepancy, difference in physical attractiveness, has nothing to do with whether they cheat or not, and there's actual research on this. I'll save that for another video, but we did cover this on the podcast episode in an episode called The Fear of Dying Alone. So I'll give you the rundown of what the summary of that podcast episode was, all the research. Basically, when we tend to date down, for one reason or another, people with a high fear of dying alone, generally more attractive people, tend to date down because they feel that if they don't find a partner, they will die alone. And in that sense, they have to justify to themselves why they have dated down in physical attractiveness by having some form of cognitive dissonance. Now, cognitive dissonance is basically having two contrasting ideas in your head and trying to basically lie to yourself. Some people say it's a cope. You may have heard cope in the comments. That's cognitive dissonance, where you're lying to yourself to justify an otherwise uncomfortable truth. So when somebody dates down because they have a high fear of dying alone, then they're undergoing some form of cognitive dissonance to justify to themselves that I'm dating down not because I care about looks, but because this person is very intelligent, they're very smart, they're wealthy, they're this, they're that, they're very loving, caring. So all of a sudden, then we start to look for non-physical characteristics. But the very biology of human nature is that we've always cared about physical characteristics first. So only when that's not an option, funnily enough, we tend to care about other things.
See, and of course, people have researched this, to death, but I don't. I guess, supposedly we look at the looks first. Yes, you know, you something has to catch your eye, right? Someone has to be someone that you are okay with looking at, right, for a lengthy period of time, right? But the problem is like one, everybody has different looks that they like looking at, right? I'm the type of person, the woman in the video, right? In the original video, right? She's not necessarily someone I would just want to continuously look at, right? I don't I honestly can find myself just looking at her. I was like, you know, what is real about you? You know what I'm saying? Like, and again, that's a judgment, but it is what it is. Not everybody has the same looks that they like looking at, right? I agree. I get it. Physical. Usually physical first. It's usually physical first, right? You have to be someone that I don't mind looking at, But the thing is, it's like it has to go beyond that. It has to. And the problem is like it just really seems like a lot of guys, they can't go past that looks part, right? People are really, and it is I'm not saying that it's not valuable, right? But the rabbit hole doesn't go any deeper than looks for most people, right? And people treat that as the utmost value. She looks good. He looks good. Cool. That's valuable, right? Everybody wants to be with somebody who's good looking, but that's just the surface. Once, like, there are deeper levels to this shit. So it's like I get it. I get it for a lot of people. It's physical first, but for that to be the only focus is hurting a lot of people. I'll say it's hurting a lot of people.
And I'll show you the research on that in this video as well, because both of those ideas, the fear of dying alone and equity theory, tie into the same framework basically. So in this particular paper, and I know it's an older paper, but again, I just want to go to where this idea first came about. Previous investigations have not gathered the data necessary to support or refute this hypothesis. So again, it's just a theory at this stage, at least in the 1970s. Walster et al. 1978 noted that persons who reported themselves to be the more attractive member of a couple indicated that their partners had compensating qualities. This right here is an example of the cognitive dissonance that I was talking about. You say that you are the more attractive couple, and when somebody asks why are you dating this person, you say, oh, it's because they have this, this, and this, or I don't care about physical looks, I'm not a shallow person. But the reality is we all care about physical looks, we all do, because it is in our biological imperative, it is in our best interest to care about physical looks so that we can choose the best chances for our future offspring, regardless. Unfortunately, Berkshire and Walster have observed that there is no noteworthy correlation between self-rated attractiveness and actual attractiveness. People are not much more accurate at evaluating their partners, although it can be concluded that persons who feel that they are more attractive than their consorts or their partners believe their partners are superior in other areas, and whether this belief is accurate remains to be confirmed. So that's the most important part of this. Basically, we think that they're better in something else other than looks. Far easier to measure. You can tell when two members of a couple are mismatched, whereas with intelligence, with wealth, those other aspects you can't really tell from first glance. So in that sense, it's a bit more objective. We tend to say, oh no, they're more intelligent than they really are. Oh no, they are more loving and caring, and basically these non-tangible things you can't really hold or touch or measure to justify why we're with those partners. This is from Bershide's other paper, and I want to touch on this as well. So he basically explains this with...
All right, we don't necessarily have to go through all of that. I might check this out more in detail later on, but I think it's an interesting topic and an interesting conversation, to have. First of all, to me, it's very disrespectful to for a woman to have that opinion of the guy that she's dealing with. I personally would find that very disrespectful, right? And it's not necessarily to dictate what her her taste or how she judges someone's looks, but again, it's what she's communicating under the surface, right? I consider myself to be more valuable than you because of how I look, and I consider you to be lower value than me because of how you look. So therefore, you should worship me, you should value me, you should basically be groveling at my feet, for the fact that I'm giving you a shot at me, right? You got me fucked up. You got me fucked up. That's not a an emotionally healthy relationship to be in, unless you are a masochist, and you love the punishment. I personally think that should be reserved for certain times, certain private times, because there is a psychological benefit to that for certain people, right? But at the same time, for that to be your everyday norm, I don't think so, man. That's soul killing. That sounds very, very soul killing. So, if you are in a relationship with a woman who considers you to be ugly, and basically this situation where she thinks she has more value than you because of how she looks, get out of that. get out of there ASAP. That's not good. Anyway, hopefully you enjoyed this. I'm going to do some research on this equity theory that really caught my eye. So I'm gonna check that out. Go into full rapper geek mode. On that particular subject. I was wondering if you could see that. Yeah, you can. Anyway, hopefully you enjoyed this conversation. Let me know if I should do more videos like this. Talking about relationships and um, stuff like that. Let me know if this is enjoyable to you. Talk to you next time.